Hey guys, it's Crys'Dawna. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the owner and creator of Belle Renovare by Crys'Dawna. So today what we're gonna go over is we're just gonna do a small little project. I think sometimes as creatives we get burnt out on big furniture projects, or not everybody works on furniture. So we're gonna do something fun for Halloween, and I've got these little plastic skulls and we are going to paint them. We're gonna patina them. I'm gonna put some would you bend molds on them. So we're gonna go over how to use those. And the first process that we're gonna use is we're going to prime this with a gripping primer. And the gripping primer that we're gonna be using is Dixie Belle Slick Stick. So I get a lot of questions about, well, what is Slick Stick and when would I use it? So Dixie Belle Slick Stick, what it is, it's a gripping primer. And it is meant for surfaces that are not wood, okay? If you have a piece of furniture that is wood, but it has a glossy finish and you're using Dixie Belle paint, I only scuff sand and clean it. There is no need for Slick Stick. Slick Stick is used for surfaces like glass, plastic. Let's say you want to paint your tile. A lot of old French provincial, probably like from the 70s, had that laminate, really hard laminate on the top. You would want to use it in that stage. A lot of old Bassett furniture from, 60s, 70s, 80s, the Hollywood Regency look has the furniture where the front of the drawers are actually plastic. So the top may be wood and you can refinish that, and the sides are a wood product, but the front, even the rest of the drawer is made of wood, but the very front molding on that drawer is plastic. And so I always use my Slick Stick when I come across a piece like that, because those pieces are really fun to work with. And you can brush the Slick Stick on, and for pieces that are really ornate like those, you can also spray Slick Stick. You would want to water it down a little bit when you're spraying it. I cannot give you certain measurements because the measurements depend on your sprayer. So just know that you are able to spray Slick Stick. What we're gonna do is we are gonna make this super cute. And you can just go get these little guys at like the dollar store or Walmart. I am overseas and we have the military AFES. So I got this from there, but it's just plastic. So I'm gonna show you how to take these little plastic decor items that are only a few dollars and make them super cute for your Halloween decor. Also, just remember that anything you learn here, you can take it on to a bigger project. So even though we're doing little tiny skulls that are plastic, you can use the same process that we're using on this with the Slick Stick, with the would you bend molds, with the patina line. Everything that we're doing here, you can transfer it over to using it on bigger projects or furniture. So just remember that. The process is still the same, it's just a bigger area to cover. Also guys, if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And if you push that little bell, you will get all the latest notifications when I upload a new video. And in the description of this video, it's gonna have every single thing that we used, and you will have a place to go and order that. This is an affiliate link. It does not cost you anything to use it. It just gives me a small commission and allows me to keep making videos for you guys. So let's do these cute little skulls, and I'm gonna show you how to use some of the products and how to just change this. No one is gonna have a piece of decor like what we're gonna make here. So if you are into Halloween or any kind of projects and you want it to look totally different than, let's say, your friends, maybe you do huge Halloween parties or whatever, this is going to set it over the edge. So stay tuned and we are going to start working on these little projects. Okay, everybody, so we're going to start. The very first step with this Slick Stick is obviously you want to make sure that you are stirring and shaking the Slick Stick really well, which I've already done. And for this project, I'm going to just use a cheap chip brush, okay? If you're putting it on furniture and it's kind of a smooth surface, let's say the top of your French provincial, you can always roll this on, you can spray it on, or use a high quality brush. That way you don't get brush strokes. Because whatever your Slick Stick looks like underneath, it could affect the finish of your paint on top. So hopefully that makes sense. So the very first thing you're gonna do is make sure you shake it, which I already did. I'm gonna open it up. I do have my little skull down here on top of a piece of plastic. And I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm just going to take my chip brush and I'm just going to paint it just like I normally would. I'm going to go dab in here because his little eyes are, recessed, but you're going to try to cover this entire thing. Once you are done with this coat, you're going to allow it to fully dry, and then you're going to do a second coat of your Slick Stick. And then after that, you are going to wait 24 hours before you put your paint on. So if you're using so this is clean, okay? So this thing was clean. I just took it right out of the bag. I wiped it down a little bit. But if you're using a piece of furniture that is older, or you're doing it on top of one of those laminate French provincial pieces or tile or whatever, you want to make sure that you're cleaning your surface really well before you put your slick stick on. So just remember that you still need to prep your surface and make sure it's clean before you add your slick stick. So you're just going to paint the slick stick on, and you don't want to glop it on. You want it in, you know, fairly thin coats. And I'm just going to paint this right on here. And just on all the places. Looks like we got a little crack here. Maybe he fell and hit his head. And so we're just going to put this on here. And then after we get this last little area, I am going to set this little guy down. Make sure I get any areas I missed. I'm going to set this little guy down and I'm going to let him dry. And then I'm going to come back and do my second coat. Okay, everybody. So this has dried for 24 hours and I'm going to show you what we're trying to do here. These right here on the top of here, they are glued on here. And what are these little things? These are called Would You Bend? So these are Would You Bend heat bendable decorative wood moldings, okay? What does that mean? That means that these right here, even though they don't seem like they're flexible right now, when you heat them up, they will flex to whatever surface. So see how they're flexible? I flexed them to the surface, I glued them on, and they are stuck. And then what we're gonna do is do the patina over this. So I'm gonna show you guys how to use them, okay, on this little plastic guy. So normally you would use wood glue. So if you're going to use these Would You Bends on a piece of furniture, you would just use wood glue. But because this is plastic, I am going to use my Loctite Power Grab. I also like titebond multi-surface. I'm just doing this so that I know that these wood pieces will stick to this plastic. Otherwise, if you're doing it on furniture and going wood to wood, then you would just use wood glue. So let me give you a little background before we start working. You want to heat these up before you use them. That way you know that they're completely molded. Even if it's on a flat surface and that seems flat, it doesn't always, it's not always flat. So you want to make sure that you heat it up, even if you're putting it on a flat surface. That way you can push it up against that surface and make sure it's completely flush. Now we're going to bend this around here. So we're going to heat it up first so that way we can kind of mold it around here. Then you put your glue on, and then you stick it where you want to stick it and heat it up again and kind of hold it until you know that it's set. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to start first. I'm going to start with this little guy right here. So forgive me for the sound, but we are going to heat this up. You can just use a hair dryer or heat gun, but just make sure you don't burn yourself. So this is going to get really hot. So you could always use like a pair of tweezers or pliers or whatever and hold this while you're heating it up. That way you're not burning yourself. This is pliable. If you can see, it's pliable now. So I'm going to kind of bend it right here and hold it on here until I feel like it has kind of cooled down, just to mold it to the area that I'm gonna put it on. So you guys, even though these are bendable, they can still break. So if you bend them too much, you can break them. So, you know, they are bendable, but they have limitations. So just understand that if you do break them, you can always bend the pieces and kind of make them up together and then glue them next to each other, just like you would if you had like a modeling material that broke apart from each other. Just kind of butt them up against each other and it'll be fine. So now that I've kind of held it on here and I can feel that it's cooling down, okay? You can see that it has molded. Do you see how it's molded to that piece? You can hold it with your hand if you want. You can kind of just walk away, let it sit. Okay, so even though it's not completely flush with the surface because it's curved, you can hold it until it completely cools down, or you can kind of walk away because we want to just kind of prime it with putting the heat on there. So the next step is for us to put our glue. And when we put our glue on, we're gonna set it on here, but we're also gonna use the hair dryer and we're going to push it back down again to make sure it's molded and hold on to it until we know that that glue has completely held. So this stuff is an instant grab. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it on here and I'm gonna do it like this. I'll spread it with my finger and then just wash my hand afterwards. You could use a brush if you wanted to. I'm gonna set it down. So I'm gonna spread it all the way to the edge, okay? So that I know there's plenty of glue on there. Again, I'm only using this multi-purpose because we're doing the wood to the plastic. So I'm gonna put it back where we had it, and it may not mold it, you know, once it's drying, or once it's cooling down, it may not be as molded as it was before. So now we're gonna hold it and I'm going to heat it up again. Now that it's heated up again, I'm going to push it down on all the areas that I want it. Don't be afraid of it because you want it to be flush up against everything. So I'm just kind of holding it down to make sure that the glue holds. This is an instant grab glue, so. And I want to show you guys how it's flush. Do you see how it's really flush against that surface? So I did get a little bit of glue here. I can wipe that away if I want. I'm doing the patina line on this, so I'm not really concerned with that. But if you were doing a piece that needed to be really refined and pretty, make sure that you are either using a clear glue or you're getting a rag so you can wipe that glue away. Wood glue takes a little bit longer to set, so it'll be easier to wipe that away. And I think it's pretty much holding on there. You can just go through. I mean, it's still like flexible. It's not gonna not be flexible after the heat. I mean, it'll be flexible for a little bit once the heat is off of it. So you can kind of go around and push it down where you need to push it down and kind of hold it. And it's on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to layer it, and I'm going to put this little guy, I think I'm going to put him like right back here. So I'm going to layer it just a little bit. Same process. You're going to heat it up, put the glue on, and then hold it on there, okay? Okay, everybody, so we have done our slick stick. We just put our wood you bend molds on here. So here are our two little guys that we got, okay? I'm going to wait for this to fully dry, this glue to fully dry, before we go on to the next step, which is the patina line. Okay, everybody, so the first thing that you're gonna wanna do when you're working with the patina line is make sure you're in a well-ventilated area, You're also going to want a drop cloth. And this drop cloth has plastic on the other side. You're going to want something like that so that the liquid doesn't go through it. Otherwise, it could damage whatever you have underneath. So we got this cute little guy. So the Patina line has 3 different paints. It has bronze, it has copper, and it has iron, okay? Then there is the blue spray and there is the green spray. All of these are interchangeable, so you can use either spray with either of these paints. I do have my favorites. So if you use the copper and green together, it will give you almost like a Statue of Liberty look. And then if you use bronze and blue, you'll get a bright blue patina. And then the iron is always going to be a rust, but I prefer the green with the iron just because I feel like it has a cooler look. But you can play around and mix and match whatever you want. So I have a chip brush for each different paint, because I am going to try all 3 of them on here and see what happens. So I have a different brush for each paint. These patina paints are a metal reactive paint. So there is metal particles in here. And so I always make sure I shake and stir these really, really well before I use them. You also are gonna wanna make sure you shake your patina spray. Now, you're gonna do your first coat on it, however you want. You can overlap them, you can do one different thing, whatever you want. And then you're going to let that dry. After you let the first coat of your patina paint dry, then with your second coat, you're going to go through, do your second coat, and that is when you're going to put your spray on, when that second coat is still wet. Okay, that is very important. The first coat, your base coat, needs to dry. Then your second coat, while it's still wet, you're going to put the spray on. So I'm going to I think I'm going to do a little bit of the iron, so we're going to shake it really, really well. And I'm going to put it, I'm just going to mess around. Okay, guys, there's no rhyme or reason to this. So I'm just going to mess around. I'm going to throw that over there. And I'm just going to kind of dab it in here, because this is rust, remember? So iron is rust. So I think it'll look really cool if we've got some rusty gears on here. Maybe put a little bit on the top, put some down in here. Let's see. I'm gonna go rusty down here. Okay, now I'm gonna let that first coat dry. And then after that first coat dries, we're gonna go back over all those areas that we just went over with the iron again, and then we would spray it. So that's iron. Let's see. And you could also, I'm gonna cover this whole thing with the patina paint, but you could use other Dixie Belle paint. So another idea is maybe do a base coat of caviar and then put your iron, put your whatever, and then let that one dry and then put your second coat. So that way you can mix and match paints as well as mix and match the patina line. Let me make sure this is nice and shook. Now this is the bronze. Paper thing still stuck in there. Okay, so we've got the bronze, and what we're gonna do, I think I'm gonna just dab around here. And it's okay if they touch each other, it's not a big deal. Like I said, these are all interchangeable paints. And I think I'm gonna, maybe we'll give him some green patina eyes. We'll do the rest. And we'll just kind of go down here. And also, if you ever see white spots after you've done your patina line, you can go through and do other, fix those areas with other paint or, whatever you want. So there's really no rules. If you guys have taken any of my classes, you know that there's not really rules. You just have to make sure you follow the steps. But other than that, you can put it wherever you want. You can go back and dry brush. If you have too much patina in an area, you can dry brush over with paint. Let's so many things you could do. Okay, let's see. Let's put a little bit of copper in there now. This little guy's rolling around, that's fine. Okay, now last step, let's do copper. I don't know if I'm gonna put paint underneath there. Okay, now we have our copper. There's another one. Okay. So I'm just going to put the copper right here. Get some of those little areas that I didn't get. Put it up against there. And I'm not really worried about contaminating my paints because I mix them out a lot. But if you do not want to mix your paints together, or you're worried about cross-contamination, you can pour a little bit of your paint into you can pour a little bit of your paint into a paper plate. Okay, so we're gonna do the copper right here. And now, hit some of those little areas that are white. And now, let's go down here. Now let's just get them underneath. Just get them all right. Okay. Now what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna dab these areas. We are going to just let this little dude sit. And we're gonna let him dry. Okay, we're gonna let him dry. And then we're gonna come back, and in the second coat, when we go over it again, that's when we're gonna do our spray. Okay, everybody, so now this little dude's dry. You've got a shiny sheen because this is a metallic paint. We're going to go over all the areas we just went over again with the second coat. And so I'm gonna do iron first. I'm just gonna do the same thing I did before and just kind of dab the areas that we went over with iron. I feel like I was down here. Down here with him. Go around so we have some of these rusty things. Right here. Okay. And then let's do the copper for next because there's not as much copper as bronze. So we've got our copper. Okay, so there's copper right here. There's copper back here. Right here, and I think we got a little tiny bit of copper up here. All right, so I'll set that, and now let's do the bronze. We got our bronze right here. So the guy's all down here. I'm gonna kind of grab him by the mouth. I'm gonna grab him right here by this mouth area. Put your second coat of the bronze on there. Okay, now this final step, we're gonna set him here. I'm actually going to spray this guy with both sprays, okay? So I'm gonna do both sprays. I'm gonna shake this. Can't spray it upside down, right? Put some of that blue spray there. And then I'm going to shake up the green and spray him with some green. Also, here's the hardest part. I'm gonna put a little bit more blue on there. Let me tell you what the hardest part about this whole situation is walking away, okay? At this point, you need to walk away from this little guy and you have to let him do his thing. It's going to take a few hours for him to really show. You can first start seeing the patina work after a few minutes, but you need to walk away and just let it start reacting and doing its thing. Hey guys, just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this will add a little bit to your fun Halloween home decor. If nothing else, it'll teach you a little bit more about the patina line or how to paint on surfaces that aren't wood. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure that you are subscribing if you like this. Let me know if you guys are gonna do this, because I would love to see what you guys are doing with this. This is a fun project, and I hope you guys try it out. So thank you guys so much again, and happy painting.